There's been a lot of speculation about where the term hacker originated.
Michael Calce, Hackername Mafiaboy, responsible for multiple DDoS attacks.
We at the FBI began to receive reports about a threat to the internet.
So here's a question. How could a 15-year-old teenager
shut down more internet sites
like Yahoo, eBay, CNN, Dell, Amazon, and even the FIFA
and shake up Wall Street?
The name Mafiaboy originated from my brother, actually. One day I logged in after he had used the computer, and it showed Mafiaboy.
How did his revolta bring multiple multi-million-dollar companies to its knees, and its websites offline for hours? But the biggest question of all, why did he do it? Was it money? Before we tell you what his motive was, we first have to explain where it all began. Born in the West Island region of Montreal, Quebec, Canada, Michael Calce's childhood would be marked by the turbulence of his parents' divorce. As his parents went their separate ways, Michael found himself shuttling between two worlds, residing with his mother during the week and spending weekends with his father. At the age of just 6 years old, Michael's life would take an unexpected turn. In an attempt to bridge the gap of his isolation from friends, his father introduced him to a personal computer he had acquired from work. Little did anyone know that this simple gesture would set in motion a remarkable journey into the digital realm. For young Michael, that computer was a revelation. It was a gateway to a world where he could wield absolute power, controlling every aspect of the machine down to its most minute functions. The allure of this newfound authority was intoxicating, especially for a child who felt adrift in his own life. In his own words, he described it as, "There was something intoxicating about the idea of dictating everything the computer did, down to the smallest of functions." In a world where so much seemed beyond his grasp, this machine responded to his every command, and that was a heady feeling. Over the course of just a few weeks, Michael went from being a complete novice to mastering the intricacies of DOS commands. His days would be consumed by poring over manuals, absorbing knowledge, and translating it into practical skills.
I would say the first time I accessed the internet was probably the most exciting point in my life.
And as he grew older, the digital world continued to captivate him. When he was around 9 years old, he stumbled upon a free trial of America Online, marking his first foray into the internet. This would be a pivotal moment in his life.
The AOL trial that I had was only 30 days long.
In just a matter of days, the young prodigy had managed to outwit deeper into the digital world, immersing himself in AOL's chat function. While using this platform, he frequently found himself being punted from chat rooms, a term referring to someone intentionally knocking him offline by bombarding his connection with excessive data. Rather than feeling deterred by these attacks, Michael was captivated by the notion that individuals could remotely attack someone else.
How someone somewhere across the globe was able to cut my connection from AOL. And I think that for me was probably, that eureka moment where I was really intrigued that someone had the power and the capability of doing that.
This newfound fascination led him to acquire the skills necessary to engage in punting himself, targeting those who irritated him in the chat rooms. He became one of the early members of the emerging online hacking communities, and as he became more deeply entrenched in these hacker groups, his expertise and knowledge grew exponentially. But this changed it all. His pivotal moment came when he joined the IWC, or Internet's Worst Chat Room, a hacker group that opened his eyes to the vast array of cyber capabilities at one's disposal. Here, he would learn the intricacies of the IRC, network, and how to exploit vulnerabilities to compromise machines and networks, ideally gaining root access. However, the world of hacking is far from stable. Suddenly, the leader of the IWC vanished without a trace, leaving Michael and the group's members perplexed about their next steps. Faced with uncertainty, Michael decided to part ways with the group, as its backbone had disappeared and no one seemed to have a clear direction forward. Undeterred, he sought out a new hacking group, TNT Force, a larger and more formidable entity than the IWC. Amongst these digital renegades, Michael began to use the alias Mafiaboy. a name originating from his brother's illegal music downloading activities conducted under the same alias. After honing his skills and practicing on smaller targets for several months, Michael executed a significant hack on OutlawNet Inc., an internet service provider based in Oregon, operated by students at Sisters High School. Through their server, he would mask his IP address and route his traffic through OutlawNet, giving him the ability to appear as if he was connecting from any location of his choosing. The server also served to obscure his tracks. And here is where it got interesting. With this newfound power, Michael breached numerous university networks, harnessing their collective computing prowess to launch attacks on external websites. In essence, he unleashed distributed denial of service, or DDoS attacks, using the university networks to inundate external websites with overwhelming traffic at the mere press of a key on his keyboard. The digital world had become his playground, and he was only getting started. As time would continue to tick away, Michael grew weary of relying on the tools crafted by other hackers. He hungered for more control, a desire to forge his path to supremacy in the cyber world. With the collaboration of fellow hackers, he embarked on a journey to create a potent DDoS tool that would assert his dominance. After months of development, coupled with his own network of compromised machines that were scattered across various networks, the moment of truth would arrive. On February the 7th of 2000, while still a high school student, he launched his inaugural DDoS attack using his custom tool, unleashing it upon the internet giant Yahoo. This attack would be part of a larger initiative dubbed Revolta, meaning uprising in Italian. Yahoo, a multi-billion-dollar company and the premier search engine of the time, would be brought to its knees, its website offline for a full hour. But if you thought this was already shocking, this is only the beginning. The aftermath of the takedown had an unexpected twist because the very next day, someone retaliated by crippling Buy.com. Michael had perceived it as a challenge, a gauntlet thrown down, insinuating that anyone could replicate his Yahoo feat. Eager to prove his prowess and armed with his formidable botnet, he selected the next target, eBay. On February 8th, he would unleash an onslaught against eBay, which succumbed even more swiftly and completely than Yahoo did. Undeterred, Michael would engage in discussions with his hacker associates on IRC, and when one dared to suggest that CNN was too formidable to be taken down, Michael took it as a challenge. Not only did he succeed in crippling CNN, but he also set his sights on Dell's website, bringing it to its knees only a few days later. With each and every victory, the stakes grew higher. As word would spread about the chaos that he'd brought, the chat room participants egged him on to new conquests. Their suggestion was Amazon.com. With characteristic audacity, he would attack and succeed in crippling the e-commerce giant over the following week. News of these exploits splashed all across the headlines of every major news outlet. The FBI and the Canadian police would begin to take notice as Michael, under the alias of Mafiaboy, boasted his exploits in the IRC chat rooms. Undercover agents would infiltrate these digital chat rooms and quickly identify Mafiaboy as their prime suspect. Their online investigations would lead them to an account registered as Mafiaboy with an ISP in Canada. Clues from the Dell attack would point them towards another ISP in Montreal, suggesting that Mafiaboy might well be located in Canada. Connecting the dots from various attacks, particularly the incident at OutlawNet in Seattle, investigators would hone in on the TotalNet account, which shared the same telephone number and address. After a couple of days, combining the information that they had found, they began monitoring Michael's house and eventually arrested him. Initially, he would deny any involvement, but later confessed in January of 2000 to most of the 55 charges that were brought against him. Out of a total 66 counts of mischief related to the DDoS attacks, he had pled guilty. The estimated cost of the damages caused amounted to a staggering $1.1 billion. While his lawyer would argue that he was merely an unsupervised child conducting security tests to aid companies, trial records would paint a different picture. In a congressional hearing, one computer security expert would assert that both government and commercial computer systems were alarmingly vulnerable, akin to an electronic Pearl Harbor just waiting to happen. On September 12th of 2001, after 8 months in open custody, the Montreal Youth Court would hand down its decision. 8 months in a youth detention center, 1 year of probation, restricted internet access, and a modest fine of 1,000 Canadian dollars. The saga of Mafiaboy, the teenage cyber tyrant, had come to a pivotal turning point in the annals of hacking history. Michael's transformation from a notorious criminal hacker to a cybersecurity champion is nothing short of remarkable. He made a conscious decision to leave behind his nefarious hacking exploits and redirect his talents toward a more noble cause, bolstering the digital defenses of companies and organizations. At the age of 31, Michael took a bold step by establishing his own cybersecurity company, Optimal Secure. With this venture, he embarked on a mission to utilize his expertise for the greater good. His focus would be sharp, and he set his sights on the financial sector, operating primarily in major Canadian cities like Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver. His role involved conducting penetration testing to identify vulnerabilities and fortify the security posture of local businesses. In a recent interview, he reflected on his past, noting that in his era of hacking, curiosity was the primary driver behind their actions. He contrasted this with today's generation of hackers, many of whom have more dark intentions, such as engaging in criminal activities and espionage. It's worth revisiting the sheer audacity of his teenage exploits. At just 15 years old, he single-handedly demonstrated how some of the largest websites in the world could be rendered inaccessible, sending shockwaves throughout the global digital landscape. This revelation would leave a lingering sense of vulnerability, as it seemed that there was no foolproof defense against such attacks. However, in the years that followed, Michael's transformation had a profound impact. Many industry leaders and executives acknowledged him for playing a pivotal role in the significant improvement of online security over the subsequent decade. His journey from being a digital renegade to a cybersecurity crusader serves as a testament to the potential for redemption and the power of channeling one's own talents for the greater good of society.